folks, and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, a podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we are going to talk about Dangerous Liaisons. This is a new television series that just hit, and I've got a lot of thoughts. The new television series is on Starz. By the way, let's just wrap up that kind of information before I start losing my mind. So I know that I have mentioned it quite a few times. I'm going to mention it again. There was this show called Harlots that was on a number of years ago. They did cancel it after the third season. But basically my two favorite people from the show, Harlots, and I loved all of the actresses and actors and everyone involved in Harlots. That was like one of my favorite series. But Leslie Manville and Samantha Morton basically were competing brothel owners, I guess. Leslie Manville, her brothel was like the higher class one, and then Samantha Morton's brothel was in sort of a poorer district and catered to like not high class people. When that show was canceled, Samantha Morton and Leslie Manville both obviously bounced, right? And found other projects to work on. Samantha Morton landed in The Serpent Queen, which is absolutely phenomenal. That one has finished. And if you haven't watched it, the series is complete. You could totally binge it. It's absolutely worth it. I absolutely loved every single episode. It was amazing. Now, don't get into The Serpent Queen expecting it to be fantastic historical drama, by the by, because it's not. It doesn't follow the history correctly, but it is good, like as a drama series to watch. It is worthwhile. Now, Leslie Manville, who was also in Harlots, bounced over to Dangerous Liaisons. And I have to say, though I love her, and there are quite a few people that are in this that I feel like are worth watching. The guy, his name is Tom. He's a German actor. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name because I will butcher it hardcore, but he has been in quite a few things. He's been in Stranger Things. He was also in Game of Thrones. He was Jaqen H'ghar in Game of Thrones. He is in Dangerous Liaisons. And it hurts me because Dangerous Liaisons, the television series, sucks. I hate it. I made it through half of the first episode and turned it off, and I won't be watching any of the rest of it. Here's why. If you have not seen Dangerous Liaisons, the 1988 film adaptation with Glenn Close, Michelle Pfeiffer, John Malkovich, Keanu Reeves, like just everyone that was who's back in like the late 80s, early 90s. If you have not seen that one, I think that it is probably possible that you can watch the new Dangerous Liaisons television series without getting an eye twitch. But if you have seen it, it's going to upset your stomach. Like, it's going to be the worst garbage that you've ever seen ever. I don't even know how to explain it in a way that makes any kind of sense. But when I think of Dangerous Liaisons, I think of that 1988 version with Glenn Close and John Malkovich. Like every single person in that film, I think brought Dangerous Liaisons to the screen in a way that was amazing. Now, Dangerous Liaisons is a book first that was written in like the late 1700s, I want to say. Like it was like 1794 or something like that. And so it's been adapted a number of times. Like there are several movies of it. Some that tried to make it a little bit more modern, I think, and some that have stayed to keeping with the times. The new television series, I think, completely like butchered the whole point of Dangerous Liaisons. Like the whole point of the thing is that you are sort of backstabbing this older woman because you fall in love with a younger one. And that is kind of what happened, right, in the movie. Is like Glenn Close's character in the film adaptation was the older woman that was kind of having an affair with a younger man, and he ends up meeting someone who is very pure and very innocent, and they kind of make these bets to see who can sleep with her first and like who can corrupt her, you know, and get her not to be this innocent, pure thing. And it's like, it's a bet. It's a game. Well, in Dangerous Liaisons, the television series, it's just this dude who's in love with a prostitute who ends up turning around and sleeping with an older woman because she can get him a title and therefore get him money so that he can buy his prostitute girlfriend out of her prostitution house or whatever. Like, it defeats the purpose. It's not Dangerous Liaisons at that point. It's just liaisons. I don't know. The whole thing. And it doesn't introduce you. Like, the television series doesn't introduce you to any of the characters. They're different characters. It's not like they took all of the characters from the book and then therefore from the film and translated that just into a series that maybe could go for longer. They changed characters. They changed the story. They added things to it, but they don't introduce you to anyone. You don't know who you're looking at. And in the first episode of Dangerous Liaisons, you get to see people sleep together before you even know what their names are. And I have a problem with that. I don't know. I don't care about raunchiness. Obviously, I very much enjoyed like Harlots because I've mentioned it in almost every single episode that I've done. But Harlots has a story, right? You're not just watching people have sex. You're in a story as well. Like, you're seeing the drama between the characters and the fights between the brothel houses and all of this stuff. Where Dangerous Liaisons, the television series, I think in the first 10 minutes, there are more boobs just out on screen than in an adult film, you know? Like, it almost seems like they tried to just push the boundary and make it raunchy instead of actually focusing on a good story. And the acting in the television series, I think, is just subpar. It's just subpar. And I don't know. It's drawing out the story in a way that doesn't quite make sense. And it's not interesting enough for me to care about what's happening. Like, I definitely did not enjoy it. It's not like I was hoping that they were going to do Dangerous Liaisons. You know, a little bit of me probably wanted Michelle Pfeiffer to do like a cameo or something, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't expecting it to be the same, but when you're going from a film that I think is phenomenal and turning it into a television series, you have to bring it, you know, you've got to do that. And if you can't do that, don't do it. Like, I feel like they want so much in Hollywood right now to reboot everything and redo everything that they're not focusing on the important parts. And the important parts of the movies that we loved was the storytelling, right? We wouldn't just show up for the people that were in it. And I feel like that's something that they're missing. Like, they're looking at an old movie, let's say Dangerous Liaisons, and they're going, let's make that new for modern times and let's change things so that people now understand it. I don't want that. I don't want that. If I wanted real life, I would stick to real life. I'd watch the news. I want something that's going to transport me to a different place, right? I want escapism. And the way that you do great escapism is with good writing and good storytelling. And Dangerous Liaisons doesn't have either. So for me, it's a pass. I would say 100%. If you haven't watched it, watch the 1988 movie version and skip the television series altogether. I will definitely be skipping it. I was super excited about this one too. I will have to say, because once Serpent Queen rounded out and like finished off, and that one was so good that I was like, oh yay, now Dangerous Liaisons starts and I can just ride Dangerous Liaisons until, you know, Willow comes out in December and like just ride one thing after another and have something good to watch. And no, it didn't happen. It was not. Now I'm just going to have to go and watch the original Dangerous Liaisons movie because now I'm hankering for it. Like, now I really want it. And the television show did not deliver. Like, the show was bad. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Please do subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family. You can join me over on Instagram at Cinematic Sarcastic Podcast. I'd love to see you there. And I hope to see you in the next episode.